I'm Lady Zelda. Welcome to Vale Keep. Hello, my darlings, and welcome to Vale Keep. Welcome to the Carpathian Mountains. I think this is right. I'm not sure, but the lighting is really off, and I'll tell you why. It's storming here, like big time. Let me try to fix something because it's going to drive me crazy if I don't. Let me try to fix something here. There. Oh, that is almost better. No. Oh. No. We're going to have to go with it, my darlings. We lost power, and I thought, oh my gosh, now I'm going to have to do what I can to go live. And here we are. So thank you so much for being here. We're going to go live as long as we can. And I know I am glaring. I don't know what that's all about, but Lord Greggor got me a new camera, and I've got to figure out how to not make that glare. So I'll sit back a little bit. We'll see what we can do. And welcome. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. I've got such an exciting show for you. I cannot wait to bring it to you. I've got to fix one little thing. You see that little dot right here? That's going to drive me crazy. Yeah. And you know what? Sometimes you just can't fix these things until you go live. And then you can figure out maybe that helped. No, it's caused by my glasses. Let me do this. That might be a little better. All right, my darlings, thank you and welcome. Welcome to my mods. Welcome to everyone. Bless you for being here because I am so excited. You guys are going to love this. I know you will. But before we get started, I want to thank Valdemar, if you are watching. Valdemar is the sweet friend of Lord Greggor and of me, who actually gave that image that he refigured a little bit. Let me sit back here. Let me sit back. It's okay, Lord Greggor. He's like, oh, Valiana. No, it's good. So I want to thank you for sending me that sweet picture, that sweet little rendition of Sammy and Lord Greggor. Vielen Dank für deine Freundschaft, bitte. Dankeschön. Thank you. All right. So now we got a lot to talk about. So while last weekend, when all this was going on with their sweet Sammy, bless her, this whole thing with Lord Greggor, he was in Innsbruck at a bell foundry. Now, what they told him, because, he's working on the bell tower now, because the third floor is going to need some additional help. And I mean architects. Because, and I can say it, I talked to him before, Lord Greggor is very concerned that the third floor is going to be falling in. Because, it's like a house of cards. You start taking one little piece, and then you see another little piece, and then you see another little piece. And let me do this, because that's going to drive me crazy, my darlings. Let me try to fix this light. Did it make it worse? A little better. Okay. So he's very concerned about it falling in. I'm very concerned about it falling in on them. The keep can be replaced. So he's talking to right now until they figure out what's going on with the third floor, as he says. Until they figure out what's going on, I think what they're going to have to do is just take they were going to try to save it. I think what they're going to do, my darlings, is take the entire floor and just take it away. I really do. I think that's what they're going to do. And it is what it is. It is what it is, my darlings. But this is years, I mean, centuries of I don't know how it stayed together. I'm going to tell you. So they found some more documents, and the craftsmen, I can say it that way, at the foundry in Innsbruck told him that they have records replacing those bells. Now, this foundry has been there since 1599. 1599. So the bells have been standing there, and they have a record of that. They have a record of Vale Keep being there, and that's when Lord Gregor's father was at Vale Keep, was in 1632. And that was during the time of the 30-Year War. I'm reading all this and I'm in awe, because you're thinking about things and you're talking about things. Well, I've had an opportunity, because I know how all of you want to time out. I see a very good question, and we're going to answer this. All the paintings, my darling, are coming. We're taking all the paintings down. They're taking all the books, all the paintings. They're just basically stripping it. I can see my green screen behind me. They're basically taking everything out of the let me see if I can. It's going to drive me crazy. I know, I'm sorry. They're going to take everything out of the third floor. Everything. They're going to save everything. Most of it is gone now. They're putting it all in storage. So not to worry. We're going to be talking about a lot of it. Now, I know how all of you love Lord Greggor stories. And I was talking last night on my live, and thank you for most of you who were there last night at the second season premiere of Help, I'm Haunted, about the opportunity I was given. I kind of knew that it was coming, but it's an opportunity to test a particular software. And I have agreed, and so has Lord Greggor, to make his stories, the ones that you've already heard in the podcast, we're going to bring them to light. We're going to be doing that. So there. Yes. Yeah. So that's now. Roxy has a question. Have they thought about keeping the structure pillars? My darling, this place is so huge. The structure pillars are pretty much rotted and gone. And they're stone. It's all stone and limestone and wood. So that's what makes it really difficult. And they've been through it. He's been there. I assure you, he really knows what he's doing. And he's wanted to save it to the best of he can. We just don't think that he can. And so that's okay. And you know what? You just never know. He may eventually build another third floor. Why? I don't know. But that's up to him. It's his third floor, not mine. So that's up to him. So there we go. And plus, Lord Greggor has got, pardon me, I'll take a drink. Hello, you're my friends. Lord Greggor has many opinions, and he's visiting many people and getting a lot of things taken care of. Architects, historical people that come in and restore historical. This is a historical home. I mean, it's almost, 1,000 years old, maybe. Am I right? No. I don't know. No. 400 or 500 years old. Anyway, it's older than dirt. So there we go, my darlings. So he's putting that together. So the agreement is he has agreed to allow me, because I'm looking at all these documents, all these papers. We're preparing for members only to be able to go through a lot of different things, right? And we're going to take you into a realm that you've never been. And I'm going to replicate it. So it's not ready yet. When it's ready, I will announce it and I will give it to you, my darlings. And then you can sign in. It's not on YouTube. It will be off-site. You can sign in and you can look through the library. You can look at replicas of what Lord Greggor has. You can look at a reenactment of perhaps his reenactment. I don't know. A replica of his, pardon me, of his office. You can just do all that stuff. You can just do all that stuff. So there you go, my darlings. There you go. And my goodness, stop the bells from ringing in the tower. Bless you, my darling. What a total gift. Thank you so very much. We appreciate it. And I think I saw where you said Venmo isn't working. I had a little, I don't know what's going on with Venmo. I don't know, but thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And I also have Ko-Fi. If it's in the description, if anyone afterward, if you think about it, you don't have to. There's no obligation, but you are a blessing, and thank you so much for your generosity. That is fantastic. And I know Lord Gregor is smiling. If he's watching, I don't even know where he is. So anyway, my darlings, so we have agreed to bring these stories to you. We have agreed because we want people to see it, but we're not going to show private things, as in rooms and, private paperwork. And Lord Greggor is going to remain private. And we're going to show you definitely. So, it's okay. It's okay. YouTube, that's it. But you know what? It's okay. Listen, I appreciate it. It's so generous. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. So I don't know. Maybe, I don't know what's wrong with Venmo, but it seems like it was all right. I got a little donation today. So yeah, so there you go. Now, this link that Captain Jerry put up in the chat, that goes directly to me. And that's pretty neat because you can use your PayPal, a credit card, Venmo. I think the only thing you can't use is Cash App. I'm pretty sure. So anyway, thank you. And you're so sweet and I'm loving you back. Thank you very much. So I'll try to keep focused because I'm just so excited. So we're going to start bringing these things to you. We want you to see how the third floor was. That's going to be our members only. We're going to show you different things. And again, say for instance, this is the room. You see how pretty this is? Say for instance, this is the room. And you can walk into it and you see this bookshelf. Well, this bookshelf here, all you have to do is maybe click on a couple of books and you may be able to click on that book and that book will appear to you and you can read it online. And when you turn a page, you will see the page turn. It will not be clicking a PDF. It is a book. And what kind of books? Right now, so far, we have 110 books that we're going to be putting somewhere in foreign languages. but I'm going to put them up because you know what? You may as well see them. A lot of them are ancient astrology. A lot of them are, some of them are reading, bumps on your head, palm readings. I mean, it's really cool. You know me, right? Some things you just can't even really, I don't know what they are. And he has translated some. Valdemar has translated some to me as well. So without further ado, I want to bring you this really cool, and I mean really cool premiere. And it's just the beginning. It's the trailer of what is coming now. And see, somebody sent something by Ko-Fi. Thank you, my darling. Thank you, thank you. See, it worked, didn't it? So I'm going to take this little banner down for Venmo because I want you to be able to see it. Now, I made this. I'm getting better. But this represents Lord Gregor's stories. I'm trying to make it as historically accurate as possible based on what he has told me. So if you're all ready, I'm ready to show. Don't blink. It is just less than 1 minute. And there's no sound. There's sound. There's ambient sound. But listen closely. So without further ado, I'm going to share this. And here we go, my darlings. Now let me make sure that I'm off the screen because I don't, can you see it? Yeah, I think that looks good. Let me get it started. Turn up your little, turn it up, my darlings. Turn it up. Here we are. If I can find where I am, there we are. Oh, let me start this over. No. Hold on. I'm starting it over. No. Stop. YouTube. Let me start this over. For whatever reason, come on now. I don't want you to see all the graphics on the side because this is worth watching. I'm trying to be patient. Here we go. We're going to try this again. We're going to try it until we can get it, if we're ready, okay? Here we go. Oh, let me fix this. There we are. Here we go. What did it do? There you go, my darlings. That's it. That is the trailer. Put a 1 in the chat if you want to see it again, and I'll try not to be fussing over it so much. So put a 1 in the chat if you want to see it again, and I'll set it up for you. And then I have another little surprise. And I promise that I'll stay off of it. Let's do 1. Okay, yes, 1. Here we go. If you're ready, my darlings, here we go. We're going to do it again. I know you guys will like it. Here we are. Here we go, darlings. And it will be available to you after this live stream. You can watch it as many times as you want. Veilborn. What do you think? That is the beginning. That is the beginning. And I don't know if you saw Lunara and Vespara in the back, but that's how he got out of there. And because, as the story goes, he was the end. He was the end one. And you saw the shoulder injury. He was the end in the field. And lo and behold, he said he heard a whisper, Veilborn. Well, that's him. And it woke him up because the enemy was coming and they were coming back. He had a broken leg and he had that shoulder and he couldn't move. And there was Lunara and Vespara in the background. They had lost their riders. They were war horses. And they were trained as war horses. And they lost their riders. And Lord Greggor was able to get them to come over to him. Vespara leaned down and he was able to grab onto the rein. And she stood there while he pulled himself up. Lunara came on the other side. Well, they were protecting each other because if an enemy, because remember, there was no food, there was hardly anything, and they were on foot. So if the enemy came in a battlefield, what do you think would have happened to those beautiful horses? And Lord Greggor knew that because he'd always been a horseman. And for some reason, they just know, they all three of them, and they were able to get out of there. And really, really, I mean, the story continues. So that's going to be a part of the first episode. But what we're going to do is take these parts so you can get a visual of what his life would have been, his life was. Now, I'm doing the best I can. Are they historically accurate? I hope so. I've researched them. I hope so. I think they turned out, but I've got another little something for you. Now, after this live, you can go ahead and you can stream them. You can stream that as long as you want. And in the beginning, he is crawling through where it says Vale Haven Production. It's very small, but he's crawling through the field. So when you see that, he was not given that opportunity when he was there. He was already immortal. He was given the opportunity when he was 19. He was born in 1528. This was 1632 during the 30 Years' War. So, but he had never had to experience it like this. He'd been through wars. He'd been through conflicts, But this was the first time that he was severely injured. And I am allowed to tell you that injury on his shoulder, on his left shoulder, is still there. He has learned to cope with it. Now, as you can see, his uniform, he wore the uniform of a captain. They wore red sashes and those kind of little, hat things. And it wasn't like a cowboy hat, but the uniforms were beautiful. They had like lace collars and all this other. People think that everybody wore knights in armor and everything. They did not. And officers back then, if they got hurt like that, they had their clothing made so it would be padded in that particular area. So that's what he wore, and he still wears that. Now, I see a special guest in the chat, and let me just say hello. This, my darlings, is Doria Vex, and I invite you to go on over to Doria's channel because you're going to love her. And I'm helping her, but quite frankly, she doesn't need my help. This is very good. She's just starting, but she's got a story to tell. And it is really cool. You'll have to go see it. So thank you for coming here, Doria. I appreciate you. And if you get a chance, and for all the channels, they are in the description. If you miss out, you want to go, every channel that we have or we celebrate, I can say it that way, is in the description. So feel free to go in there and get that. So thank you for coming, Doria. Thank you. Thank you. So now I have another little, say hi to Doria, because Doria has got some special ancient abilities, and she's telling her story. So this is going to be a lot of fun, because I'm just going to tell you that. The tubes of you are going in that direction because they are ranking higher than Netflix, ranking right up there with Spotify if they're not already bigger than Spotify. And they want to see series, and I know you guys want them too. And that's why we're doing this. That's why we're doing the series along with the channels and what it is that we do. So what I'm just going to say, my darlings, is welcome, because I live here. Because you're going to see me. You're going to see me or Vale Haven Productions. Now, I'm going to tell you this. I got something wonderful to show you, and this is another little creation of mine. This is not the real, I'm going to tell you, this is not the real Lord Greggor, but dang, I think I'm doing pretty good. But what we're giving you, and I'm just going to give you a little taste of it, are the themes of the series for Vale Keep, the epic Lord Greggor, and I'm going to share that with you right now. Now, this is 30 minutes of epic cinematic Lord of the Rings, Outlander, wonderful, wonderful music. And with Lord Greggor's help, I was able to do this. So without further ado, my darlings, here comes this. And you may listen to this at your leisure, my darlings. Here, let me get this ready for you. All right. And I'm going to, I want you to watch him. Watch him subtly, and I'm going to take you through a little bit of it, and then I'm going to skip toward the end. but take the time to listen to it later, because you guys, you're probably going to love it as much as I do. But take a moment to really watch him. And here we go. Turn up your sound, because you're going to want to listen to this and watch how epic he totally is. Here we go, my darlings. Take a look at him, and here we are. Now hang tight, my darlings. I'm going to skip because I want you to see this end. Here we go. I'm going to skip a little bit more here, my darlings. I'm going to skip a little bit more. Here we are. There you go, my darlings. And I just want you, when you can go and listen to this the whole way. It's 28 minutes, almost 30 minutes. This is music that was picked for him. This was music that I kind of rearranged with someone else's help. And we picked this. And that last one that you heard, it starts out with that same reprise, the same little track. It's about 30 seconds, and it ends in 30 seconds. Now, if you want to know what he looks like, I think that I've captured that pretty well, but I can do better. I can do better. And as you watch this, you're going to see it. You're going to love this. And I'm going to tell you, I have been listening to this all day. And I want to thank you so much. You guys are just so beautiful. And thank you. Yeah, that's him. That's him. So imagine him riding Vespera away from a conflict to this music, or heading into Poneri Castle, or some of the other very epic things that he has done that you don't even know. And we're going to be telling those stories through video. Why not? Why not? You're hearing them. I promised him that I would not show him personally. And you know what? I agree. I agree. Because we had a little something, with the tavern girls, and you know how all that, right? Plus, listen, he loves you guys. But he's just not, this is not his gig. This is just not his gig. Thank you. And he's very proud of this, because never in his life would he have thought that he would be doing this. Because there are people that he has to account to as well, right? There are other immortals in this world. He does not have to account to them, but he knows of them, and they know of him. And you know what? We're just going to keep him private. That's it. My son wants to be private. When my son streams and he's on and he plays games through Twitch, you don't see him. He's got an avatar that when he plays, it talks. And it's so cute. But you know what? To each his own. And you know what? He's very conditioned, because he has kind of lived in the last 8 months with me through some of this stuff going on here. And that's why I promised him. That's what I promised him. You know what? I love that. Thank you so much. Borderline. I love it. Borderline. I love that for them. Being public is overrated. You're very right. Why put yourself out there? Now, there's something that I want to talk to you about, because I think this is kind of fits. I think this fits in, right? Jack, I love this. I want him an immortal. You know what? Quite frankly, I've met 2 before him, and I never thought anything about it. I've always wanted. I know one vampire. He lives in Tennessee, and the ones that I go around, just, you don't have to worry about that. It's the wannabes in New Orleans that I would be afraid of. Most of them stay away. Most of them just stay so private that you would never know. It's the ones that are coming out and being so public. That's the ones you need to be concerned about, period. So everybody needs their privacy, including me, right? Because as much as I love you guys and you love me, sometimes I get a little overwhelmed with so much love, and I get it, right? Talk about 1 or 2 different people, okay. But when you're talking about maybe 100, 200,000, it gets a little creepy. But when I first had a thought of an immortal, because see, I got involved with it. I was working on that channel for the Crossy Chronicles, and I wanted a vampire to talk to me about that, because you know what? If I'm going to do it, I want to do it correct, historically correct, grammatically correct, whatever. And that's when he reached out. and I thought he was a vampire. You guys know the story. The reality of this is he's still human. They are. Most immortals cannot say, most immortals really cannot say, some of them can't handle it. Some of them self-exit, especially when they find that so much loss around them. And that's what Lord Greggor experienced. You know, when you're watching your family, right? So there's a little bit of that there. But I think there's some things that are really very interesting. And that is, we had a podcast about George Washington. Now, I think I saw a preview on Stars. Correct me if I'm wrong. There's a new show coming out, and I believe it's about George Washington. I want to watch it. But in some of the preview in the trailer, it was talking about George Washington, you have 7 holes, bullet holes in your uniform. How are you still here? And he says, I don't know. Well, you know, rumor has it that George Washington was an immortal. There are many in our history. Now, I can't confirm it, and neither can Lord Greggor. We just don't know, and don't say that, oh, yes, they said, no, we can't. But there are those who come in to help history. I'm seeing some very cute comments. And let me get back here. How would you truly know if someone is immortal? That is a great question. Because I asked that same thing when he was talking with me. Now listen, you all know that I'm in this business, and that is, you know, tarot, psychic, Bigfoot, cryptid, you know, skinwalkers, blah, blah, blah. So that stuff I don't like go, oh yeah, right. But when he started showing me documents, paintings, and I first saw Vale Keep, then I started thinking. And I never said to him out of respect, look, I need you to prove it to me, right? Oh, wait, I'm on the wrong channel. I can't have a Southern accent here. I really need to have a transatlantic. Thank you very much. Anyway, so as time went on, because, you know, there are a lot of wannabes, as time went on, and especially when I saw these injuries. Now, I'm going to tell you, the injury that he had and sustained, I can't put on this trailer because it's much worse. So it healed, but most of his shoulder is gone. And he tells all about that in his book, and we're almost done with that. So, yeah. But see, I believe in werewolves. I believe in those things as well, because that is mainly a part of European history, more so than here in the United States, even though it's here. But the greatest population of vampires is located around Croatia. You would think not, but they are. So easy does it. Don't take someone, you know, and if Lord Greggor was here sitting right beside me, he would say, Valiana, you know, you're doing right. So this is interesting, my darling. Are you really saying that they are vampires? He's not. What I'm really saying is there are vampires. When I met Anne Rice in New Orleans at the Café du Monde, and Aunt Bibi, who is here, sent me coffee and 3 boxes of beignet mix. But you know, that coffee, anyway, we went there. Now, I went with another gentleman who knew her and knew she was writing books and said, "Do you want to meet Anne Rice?" And I'm like, "Yeah, right. Okay." So she's sitting by the man in the moon. We get there and it was Anne Rice, all right. And I sat beside her and she's talking. Now, she was married, but she was fascinated and infatuated with one vampire that, I mean, to each his own. I don't know what happened, but I think that from what she said, he helped her write the books. And it was the vampire called Lestat. So, I mean, there we go. But that's when I met those 2 guys. And believe me, if they weren't vampires, they missed their chance because they stunk. They did. And it was bad. That's all I can say. All right, let me go down here and see all the, oh, look at this, Jane. He does not smell. You're absolutely right. And he has the candles in the merch shop to prove it. So very, very much you missed the George Washington one. It's in the podcast. If you go through, you can see there's a thumbnail that it's not a podcast. He just talks about it. So it was last year, I believe, when he did that. He talked about, and he's very careful because he doesn't want to say things that he really just doesn't know. But there's a lot of pointers there toward that. So, you know, there's a lot of things we don't know. But look, I know people who know vampire cultures and they know about the alien thing. Are we living in a different time? Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Oh, yes. The transatlantic accent. You know, that's what Kelly Grace and Katharine Hepburn, they teach you that in Hollywood. It's not a British accent. It's just that you elongate things. Oh, how difficult. Oh, the calla lily's on bloom again. And you know what better one than me than Hollywood, right? Thank you so much, Tiffany. Thank you. And look at this, sweetheart. She loves my Southern drawl. I was talking to the lady that owns True Oracle today, and she was we were laughing about that. And I said, you know, I don't know why I do it too much, but I've been around a lot of Southern people. So there we go. Yes, I believe in the Loch Ness too. Absolutely. Because, you know, as Zach says, there are some things in this world that we do not understand. You know. And yes, there are energy vampires around us every day. I love your question, Elizabeth. Lord Greggor doesn't need the med bed. He doesn't. I mean, he's just not. He's healed and he's in very good shape. And I saw him in action the night of the dogs. So we don't have to. I mean, that's up to him, though. That's up to him. But he doesn't. He's not in pain. It's just part of the thing. It is what it is. Thank you so much, though. I like that. Aunt Bibi. Honey, I've got I just make like 1 cup. I don't make a pot at a time, because if I did, I would be fly me to the moon, right? I would be going high. So yeah, thank you though. And if I ever do, I'll let you know. She is sweet, my little Aunt BB. She really is. We're almost done with the book. I'm kind of writing mine simultaneously. Am I busy? Sure. Sure. Okay, so Kimberly, vampires are human but are made vampires. So if they do still have a heart and soul. Some vampires are not human. Many are not. They're created. And that's a big fallacy of, oh, okay, I got bit at midnight, I'm turning. There's a lot more to it. And Lord Gregor talks about that too. We had some really deep conversations about vampires. There's a whole vampire lore. And believe me, Lord Gregor was right in there telling me all about it. And that's where he came up with this story. Now, I'm going to tell you on the Crossy Chronicles, that's my production over there. That is also going to be ramped up. You're going to see a difference in that production as well. And I've been waiting for that new one to come to fruition. But he was the one telling me this story about Toulet, who is a French vampire. In the series, he has a British accent because I think it sounds so much better. And about Lord Reynard, who was turned into a blue werewolf. Yes, yes. The stories, will just keep them coming, because I don't know about you, but I'm here for it. Give me a good story, because you know why? I'm sick of hearing all the stories that we live around. Give me a good story about a ghost, about a zombie, about a vampire, about a werewolf. Hey, I'm here. Get me my little bag of popcorn. Look at my son got me. Are you ready? For those of you, if you know, you know. Now I can be a Cheeto girl. I can't eat the hot ones, but I like the baked ones. So he got me these today, and I've laughed so hard. Now I can be that, not a hot Cheeto girl, but I can be a Cheeto girl. But a lot of these stories we are going to tell through this series, because I know that you guys love this. I know you guys, if you love it, we're going to bring it to you. Exactly. And I got to tell you something, Jackie. When I met Anne Rice, she did not like the fact that Tom Cruise was in that movie, Interview with a Vampire. Did not like it at all. Said that was not her vampire. She was very bad about trying to do everything she could to interrupt that. Yeah. Lord Greggor is going to be audio only. That is correct. He will be audio. He's going to be audio only. And sometimes if you can understand him, because sometimes his accent gets very thick depending upon who he's around. And sometimes if he's around the old English speaking girl, well, he's still very stoic and very proper. And if I laugh, he just looks at me and waits. There we go. All right. And that doesn't bother me at all. It doesn't bother me at all. Times are changing. Absolutely. Hi there, Linda Lane. That's another really thing I liked about you, Lady Zelda and Lord Greggor. You guys just don't say anything if you don't know for a fact. If it's the truth, I thank you very much. Well, you know what? You're quite welcome, because there's enough stories. Hello, we're in the crime community too. Lord Greggor's got some crime stuff. And he's no stranger to human behavior. He's just been around longer than the rest of it. It takes a little bit more for somebody to pull the wool over his eyes. Listen, wool over his eyes. Where have I been? All right, so let's try that. Is Lord Greggor's book going to be an audio or pay? It is, well, we're going to see if he can record it. It may be an audio eventually. It will be a digital download. If you want a paperback or a hardback, we'll have to see, because the shipping can get pretty tight on that. So we'll just have to see case by case. So you'll just have to, you just have to let me know. Do you want a hardback, or do you want a paperback, or however that works? And then we'll have it shipped directly to you. And that's how that works. Okay. How is Lord Greggor's arm doing? Thank you very much for asking. His shoulder is healed. It's just got a big divot in it. That's all. When he tells this about in the book, when he first showed it to me, he was worried that I would wince, or like, ooh, what did you do? Or, any of those things. I have no reason to. You know what I did? And it kind of put him back. I said, well, thank you so much for your service. And he was like, because they don't have it there. Thank you so much, sir, for making it through the plague, right? Hello. But he's doing fine. The Night of the Dogs, he still has a couple of scars from that one particular dog. That dog was wild. And if it would have gotten a hold of me, I probably wouldn't be sitting here. I probably would have ended up like John O'Keefe, if I can tell you truthfully. Because they weren't playing. Those dogs scare me like that. They weren't playing. So let me see here. Captain Harris. Oh, yeah. She was the first one I called. The Night of the Dogs. That was scary because, he came here. We got an Airbnb, and it was up toward the mountains because it's easier for him to travel that way. That was a scary phone call to receive, but I'm glad they were both okay. Yeah. Because she was the first one to call that I called and said, oh my gosh, he was attacked by a dog. What do we do? What do I do? I was worried about him. He was more worried about his coat jacket. I actually repaired it the best that I could, but I don't know. He's never really told me if he had it repaired or if he just tossed it. I don't know. He's got some beautiful clothing, brocades, just like in that one that you saw in this music little video, in his music video. What am I, MTV? Yes, that must be. That one, that's my favorite of his. He's got this black one. It's black on black brocade that's stunningly gorgeous, and he's worn that a lot. When I first met him, he wore a blue one. And I'm like, hello, sir, who are you? And you know how I always say, what century are you from? Well, or that made my century. Well, it sure did. I love these questions, and thank you. When an immortal is injured, how do they heal? Depending on where they're located, but usually very quickly. They have a very high pain tolerance, although when his leg was broken and this happened, he was feeling it. But they heal a lot quickly. A lot quicker. Let me say it that way. There we go. When do I sleep? Well, when I'm not up looking, Googling, asking if Jesus has ever eaten a grilled cheese, I'm sleeping some. But yeah. Voltaire drank 50 cups of coffee a day. I also, what was her name? Carmen Miranda. Remember that 40 star that she danced? She was really cute. and she wore that fruit basket on her head. Can I say that? And she did the merengue and all these things. I heard that she drank about the same, but she drank like a cup of, it was crazy amounts, a cup of coffee to like a quarter cup or even more sugar. She didn't live long, sadly. Are you a coffeeholic? Listen, if you get a chance to buy that, that is on Amazon, that Cafe du Monde coffee. Does Lord Greggor need to sleep? I love these questions. He rests. He doesn't really get into the deep REM sleep. Maybe that's where I get it from. And I say that because I believe that each and every one of us have immortal genes in our body, immortal DNA. Now, immortal does not necessarily mean that you live forever, because there will be a day that you do expire. And some are just really like mortals, but he does not need that deep down sleep. When we are together, he's usually reading, and I'll pack it in on the couch or in a chair, and I'll, the one night when he was here, there was a television up above the fireplace in this cabin, and we were watching JFK. And he was so happy because I was sitting there texting. See, a lot of this is like, it's new to him. So I was sitting there texting, and JFK, and it was so cool because that night they really was so kind and shouted me out. And he was beaming. He was so proud. And he said, I didn't know they could do that. And I said, you didn't know a lot of things, but I have to be careful with this guy, because this fellow makes mistakes when he chats to people. Many of you in here know it, so I have to be careful. Do I believe in lucid dreams? Yes, I do have those. Yes, and my son does too. So yes, I do. I really like the story from Crossy Chronicles. That's going to get a lot better. I came into that channel to try to help someone else with the storyline, and they just didn't really know what to do. They didn't know what to take it. Crossy is kind of my brainchild, but they collect, and then I told them what to do, and they just let it go dormant for like 10 months. And then they came back to me not long ago and said, hey, you want to do this again? I said, yeah. So they signed it over to me, and I was glad to take it. And they're happy about it. So that's good. That's good. Lisa, you're so kind. Thank you so much. Thank you. I got to tell you this. I just love what I do. If you have not, I loved what I did before he came around. And after he came around, I still love what I do. I'm just going down another alley. And it really has been so good for me, because it is this unbelievable, it's like the creativity top hat has just gone boom, and I just really love it. I'm so thankful for him for that, because if it weren't for this Lord Greggor story stuff, I'm just going to tell you, I'd be sitting here probably bored, thinking of the old days when I was sitting with Anne Rice talking to vampires. Listen, that to me, and I don't know what it is, but see, my grandparents, especially, my dad was like, no. My mom was on the fence a little bit about it. But I can remember sitting in the living room with my grandma and grandpa, and Grandpa telling stories about the Civil War, about how the vampires. Now you hear Lord Greggor talk to me about that situation. But this is true about my grandfather saying about, because see, my grandfather, my great grandmother's brother fought in the Civil War. So, we're not that far from that. When you think about it, look at how far we've come in technology. Think about that. But he said, my grandpa said, that during those wars back then, Revolutionary War and the Civil War, the vampires would come over here to the Americas and pick relics. They would pick things and take them back, and they would keep them or they would sell them. My grandfather had a knife from the Civil War, and one night, evidently, I don't know, he heard a big ruckus in one of his outside sheds. He had a really nice little, back then you didn't call it a man cave, it was just a shed, right? Where he would go down there and put on his hip waders and live his life, right? I mean, that's just the way it is. And he went down there the next morning and went in there, and nobody else knew about it. Now, it still had stains on it. You can figure that out. The next morning he went down, and that place where he had hid it was open and the knife was gone. It's a wonder they didn't take out my grandfather, but they didn't. They just took the knife. So there we go. Cheeto girls, right? There we go. There we go. And Elizabeth, Ian is so cool. Thank you. And a stinker too. Yes. Yes, he is. Lord Greggor is not a vampire at all. I would not have anything to do with him if he were, regardless if he was just an energy vampire or not. When I first met him, I thought he was, because of the way that I met him. I was on the dark side of TikTok. Oops, on the Talkie Tick. And looking for stories. Looking because I knew it was August, I think. Something like that. I can't even remember. July, August. I was looking for stories, and I actually was looking for someone to talk to. There were a couple of people, but they just weren't interested. So he reached out to me and said, I would like to speak to you, Lady Zelda, about your ancestors and about Countess Audley. And nobody knew, because I never announced that here on my channel. Nobody knew that. And it kind of bothered me because, I've got every brother, Tom, Dick, and Harry, reaching out in DMs, and he didn't have a picture. So one night I was doing the does Jesus eat a grilled cheese thing, 3:00 in the morning, and poof, pops up. Hello, Lady Zelda, how are you? This is Gregor. He never said anything about Lord Greggor, nothing. And then we started to talk. And I thought, what the heck? Let's see what he has to say. So then we started talking. And it was very interesting. He knew a lot of things. And he especially knew a lot about my ancestors. And we talk about that in the podcast, about our ancestors were not related. They did not know each other, but they certainly crossed paths. My ancestors are called Veldran. He is a Vale born. So that's how all of that came to be. And he tells all that story. So anyway, there we are. There we go. Well, thank you, my darling. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. So no, he's not. He's not dangerous. He's a pretty nice guy. Yeah, well said, Lady Z. And Lord Jean, don't ever. He never did overstep. He was always very protective of me. And even when I thought and when kind of talked to him about, gosh, is it very hard for you to be that way? I thought he was. You can see going back on my channel that I said, you know what? I met a vampire and I'm going to ask him to come on here. And he was cringing because the way he was brought up and taught, you don't correct a lady. Not that hello, but you don't correct a lady. So he was having a hard time. Really, how old is Lord Greggor? He was born July 11th in 1528. And we have a journal where there are entries from his mother that are talking about wondering how he was and where he was, because his mother, when he was 3 days old, gave him up because he had red hair. And when he cried, he had a different type of cry, and it scared his father. Back then they were extremely and very superstitious. And his father was very political, and he was worried. And, he just wanted to, you see how he just wanted to take Lord Greggor and go, whoof. And his mother, so the midwife took him. And it turns out that the midwife was, I forget what the name is now, but she took other children that were like that as well. And then my ancestors, Countess Ottilie von Görlitz, she got married to a gentleman that were taking sometimes children that were disabled when they were born, and families didn't know, that sort of thing. And it was, they took them into the mountains to protect them. And so that's kind of how it went. So there's the whole story in there. Okay, Patty, the dog, yeah. He's got a couple of scars from that, but he's okay. He recovered. This one was, John O'Keefe's arm was on the right. Lord Greggor was on the left. So there we are. Okay, so let me get here. It was scary, right? It was very scary. That was terrifying. I was terrified. And he when I got out of my vehicle, he was waiting on me. And he came right over, and I noticed that he kept looking. And at night, he would go to the door and he would look out. He would walk around. And I thought, he's just doing a perimeter watch. That's because that's what he does at Vale Keep. He just do perimeter watches, and he always look around. And I kind of, now looking back, he probably knew, because they came right up on us. There were 3 of them. They came right up on us. Now, in my head, I can sing that. For most of you are from the 1900s. You'll remember me saying, right, I don't know, I sing this song to my son too when he lifts things that are heavy, Hercules, stronger than any mountain, right? And I'll sing that to Lord Greggor sometimes when he's at Vale Keep and he's working and I'm on the video. But I'll say, my favorite line of that is, with the strength of 10 ordinary men, Hercules. And of course, it cracks me up that much harder because Lord Greggor just doesn't pay attention. It does, because we're not, he didn't grow up watching Hercules. He grew up, he was Hercules in a way. So I just thought that was so funny. All right, let me go back there through your little, I love this. And I say, boom, chicky, boom. That's right. Chickity, boom, tickety, boom. There are some times that I'll say a few bad words, but normally I don't. I mean, now, my grandmother's favorite word was PISS. I can't even say it on here. And I would laugh. And if anybody ever has a crash out and they're cussing like that, I laugh. I don't know why, but when that movie Goodfellas was playing and that actor was cussing like a madman, I was laughing so hard. I don't know what that was all about, but I was laughing. I always laugh. For me, it doesn't sound right. But oh, I can rip a few zingers every now and then. Why not? He is 6'3". He is 6'3". And I am 5'10". So that's nice. There you go. Sometimes that's for me too, my darling. I am too. Oh my gosh. I just ate a whole bag of brown brittle salted caramel bites. Boy, that's a tongue twister. Brown brittle salted caramel bites. Story munchies better than popcorn. There you go. There you go. Good question, Jane. Would Lord Gregor be able, if you decided for you to become immortal, or is it a birthright, which he went through the ceremony? There wasn't really a ceremony. It was just a decision. That's really what it was. It was a decision. He could not, even if I wanted to, he could not help me become immortal. And I wouldn't want to anyhow. I wouldn't want to. I mean, I hear the stories. I mean, listen, this man never had a birthday party. There are things here that you can tell there are centuries and that are in Vale Keep. And obviously, I'm not going to be going next month because there's a lot going on inside. And where am I going to stay? It's not like there's just a hotel right around the corner. And he's been staying in the stables, just so you know. So I'm not going to stay in the stable. And plus, there's other men around, dear. So no, not right now. He can come here. He'll come here. So no, but I won't, because the stories that he tells, and the one especially that just kind of hung with me, and I know he's watching, so it's okay, about how when he found out that his mother passed away and how he watched them go to wherever it was that she was buried and bury her. I mean, he had a sister. She married a nobleman, moved away somewhere, and she passed away in childbirth. And then her husband passed away. So there was no children there. So he has outlived the whole family, even cousins, even, some of the downline. Now, the people that work for him, especially this one gentleman, other than Valdemar, hello, Valdemar, but other than Valdemar, his steward, he calls him, he's kind of his right-hand man at Vale Keep. His wife works in the hearth in the kitchen. She goes in there and she makes things ahead. They don't have electricity there. If they do, it's very little. But they don't have the refrigerator set up. They don't have any of that set up. This was a working castle at one time. So the reality is he loves Lord Greggor because Lord Greggor knew now let me get this right, great-grandfather, I think, when they fought in World War I. His wife loves him, but she's a little, she doesn't understand, she doesn't know. But the people around there, they know and they love him. And it's because ever since he went there, because he went back to Vale Keep after his parents were gone, and he went back as a steward. And that's how that came. That's how that came about. So that's how he went back to Vale Keep. Okay. A very good fork in the road. Crossy is one of my, oh, here we go, Colleen. Crossy is one of my favorites, and I think Dory of X is going to be another. Yes. You know what? I like channels that are different. And I want to, I concern myself all the time because I don't want to make all of these things like, like everybody else. But the Tubes of You is going in that direction where they want. And I'm going to be making, now don't forget, for True Oracle, I'm going to be making a series for all of you, and you can binge watch it, of the Lady Zelda Forbidden Files. And these are, I don't want to say love stories gone wrong, but that's pretty much the way they are. It's those calls where they call up and say, oh my God, I think I buried a zombie. And they are convinced. And the way they tell me, it almost convinces me too. So that's what you're going to be hearing. It's kind of like scary stories, but real, that they call me and they ask me about. Why go to your priest when you can go to a card reader? Right? Hard copy. Okay, Carrie, you got, we'll let you know, darlings. Do you think they picked the relics because the relic had some kind of power? Not power, but how do I want to say it? Almost a representation of a relic that they can, pardon me, I've got a little hair. A relic in which it holds properties, not power, but properties, as in someone was given their ticket to paradise with this, so I'm going to hold it near me, and there may be some stains on it, so that, so it's a different world. Yep. I'm kind of there with you. Except, Tom, if you're watching this, if you want to send me one of those coconut cakes, now listen, I may have to think about, I may have to give you a second chance if you do, but I'm not planning on it. LG is he is very generous. I've seen him give to his community that is unbelievable. I mean, all of the building materials from the third floor and from the courtyard and from the grounds that they can divide up. I mean, there are people there that are so happy because this gives them, they can rebuild their own. It's not like they're ruined, because some of the ruined things are, of course, not going to give away. But it's reusable. It just can't be used again in Vale Keep, if that makes sense. He is a Cancer sign. Yes. July 11th. July 11th. Yes. Did you see what I just did to my son? Every time we walk through your room, peace sign. Here's the peace sign. That's the way it is. I gave the peace sign to Lord Greggor once, and he was just kind of like, that's what cracks me up. It's just this very, now every now and then he smiles. When he does, it's funny. No, he never did reunite with her. No, he never did. His father wouldn't have it. And she knew, they both knew when that was it, it was it. It was it. So it's very unfortunate. So that was, I think that's why he's so stoic and so serious, because he had to control all that. I can't wait. I'm editing his book. Now listen, I'm just going to tell you this. I am using an editor that does use AI, but I'm going through it because I don't really like that. I want it to be in the voice of him, and I want to make sure that it reads the way But, I also want to make sure that there's no problem with grammatical errors and all that. And, sometimes you have to have 2 or 3 people look over it before you catch them, right? That's the way it is. So just so you know, because I want to disclose everything. Okay. And Wolf Clan Palmer says, after you ignored him for 3 months, that really piqued his interest. It sure did. I did ignore the tar out of him. But I won't ignore him now. I don't have to. Glad we won't have to wait a long time for the next chapter of Crossy. Listen, did you see what a good-looking man Lord Reynard is? Lord Greggor described him to me, and I said, does he look like this? Does he look like this? Does he look like this? And when he saw him, he said, oh my gosh. But see, those are stories that even he cannot say are fact. But wouldn't it be fun if they were? Think about that. I mean, not fun for Reynard. Right? Hello. We got a funny story here we are with Darlene. A funny story about the movie Interview with a Vampire. I'm a female and a retired correctional officer. Oh, bless you. I worked in a maximum security prison. Inmates would try to flirt with female officers. Oh, I think there's more to the story maybe. But I can imagine. Bless you. I love that movie, Goodfellas. I do too. I do too. Flash Gordon, yes. Tiny Bunch of Hercules. I think of Flash Gordon. Absolutely. I love Goodfellas too. The Pea and Moan. Well, my grandmother would get mad. I can say it here. He's not going to say anything. My grandmother would get mad at people, and she would get mad. My grandmother was a powerhouse at 5'1". And she would get mad, and she'd point her little finger, and she'd go, piss on them. And of course, I just couldn't help myself, right? I meant to say brownie bites, but that still sounded so good, Carrie. It's all right. It's all right. I love monster movies. Godfather, the ultimate favorite. Yes, I love that too. You know what movies that I love toward Halloween? You can sit me down and we can watch all the Hammer movies. The Dracula, the Frankenstein, the, right? Everything in between. Okay, so here we have another part. Inmates would try to flirt with female vampires. Hello, female officers. I was working the rec yard one day. I had just watched the movie Interview with a Vampire the night before. An inmate came up to me and asked me oh gosh, we got to find the rest of the story now. Here we are. Okay, what nationality I was. I told him he wouldn't believe me if I told him. He kept asking, and finally I told him I was a vampire, and he laughed. He offered me his neck. Girl. I told him no thank you, that I had feasted the night before. Oh, how do I love that. I also told him that I had to be sure that the feast wasn't tainted. I could never feast with him. He walked away then. Another inmate came up to me and said that I was good at telling that story. I love that. Oh my goodness. That is awesome. Okay. What does he think of the tech changes in his life? When he first met me, his steward had the phone. He never owned one. And his steward would be there and show him how. And so he would keep the phone overnight to talk to me and into the early morning. And then his steward would come back and take it. Well, it got to the point where it was, he was using it so often and so much. Now, keep in mind, this has gone on. I think we met 2.5 years ago. I was looking to see if he was watching. 2.5 years ago. I think more than that now, almost 3 years ago. And it started to becoming more frequent and more frequent that I told him, I said, you know what? You don't, this man needs his phone. But see, he doesn't call it a phone, he calls it a device. So this man needs his device, and you need to go get one. He said, well, Valiana, what would I do? And I said, well, here's the thing. You just ask your steward to go get you the same thing that he has, then you're used to it. I would prefer if you had an Android, but you get whatever, you do you, boo-boo. So it was within a couple of days, he had his new phone. And if you can see that one short, that's exactly how he was acting. Valiana, mad, upset, trying to, and the steward showing me what he's doing. And he's got me on speakerphone. And I said, now listen, this is what you got to do. Finally, we got all that taken care of. And then we really started talking. I guess we weren't talking then. It was after he got his new device, we really started talking. And talk about not having sleep. When he went to through the Carpathian Arc and over into Romania in December, that's the first time I gotten any rest. Because he took his phone with him, but he couldn't use it. I mean, who's he going to hook up to? And that took a minute to try to get him to understand. You just can't. You have to hook up to a service that hooks up to your phone. And he gets very frustrated because he feels that he's educated, so he should know these things. So we were both happy to see each other. We were both happy when he got back, but Lord, I could have slept. He was gone for like 5 days. I could have slept the entire 5 days, 24/7. We need to make Lord Greggor. I don't know if he's going to be here or not. We're trying to make plans, but he's like me. Birthdays are not something that he wants to. Now this last birthday, you guys, we had to celebrate my birthday because it's the anniversary of me reading as well. But I have to figure out he doesn't like that attention. So I don't know where we're going to be. I don't know where he's going to be. So there we go. Oh, here we go. Oh, we got more. Whoa, we got more. I looked him in the eyes and said, and you doubt me? Oh, this is getting good. And I had another inmate tell me that he could tell I am Wiccan because he could tell by my eyes. Don't know what it is about my eyes. Well, they're probably a very blue, mysterious, or not blue, but maybe a very mysterious looking eye. So that's awful. I love that. Oh my goodness. Sorry, I had to tell you this story in 6 different, it would not let me type the whole story. It kept coming. Well, don't be sorry. Pardon me, we're sitting here with bated breath. We're waiting to hear. I love it. Thank you for sharing that. That's hilarious. Don't you love that though? I can't even imagine the history Lord Greggor has lived throughout his immortal life so far, right? There's stuff that and here's the thing, that's what always, when we would talk, because once you get him talking, it's like, okay, tell us another story, Uncle Gregor, right? And I would just say, really? What about this? Or what about that? And we would be like this close to each other, talking. And he would be sitting, because especially in the cold months, he would stay in his office. And he had what he called a pallet, which was like a cot. Remember, Vale Keep is it's like a military. It's not a high British Downton Abbey. It's nobleman type stuff. And so he had a big fireplace in there, and he would just build the fires in the fireplace. Well, and see, for a place like Vale Keep, you've got to take all those fireplaces and you got to keep them going. There's no electricity. Because one time after the Night of the Ring, he was taking me around, showing me all these things in the keep. And we went down there. He said, look, I'm going to show you this. And he opens up this big door to this part of the second wing. And there were ice, walls, floor, ice all over. Because they didn't have the fireplaces. Why get the fireplaces going? Because he didn't want to use the trees. That's a waste of the resources. So they would just ice up. But where does all this water go to? It's not like you have days where the sun is really shining and you're going to get it to dry out. So it never really dried out. And he knew that. But you know what? When you're alone and you're sitting in a big castle and your eyes and your ears and your mind isn't on that, he went with 3 rooms. He didn't even stay in his own chamber. He stayed in his office. And sometimes he would go out and do things. But he went through the Carpathian Mountain. He had some type of, he deals in relics. He has art. He does all these things. And he went there for something. So, okay. Build a snowman, pal. I'll see you on the flip-flop. You know what? I've thought about that. Thank you so much. I've thought about that. I love that movie. Outlander. Is the castle the Vale Keep in Transylvania? No, it is not. No, it is not. Will he ever come on live streaming? Never. He will never come on live stream. Does Lord Greggor have any children? No. He never has had any children. He did not want to put them through. And plus, he never wanted to see, it's that dynamic of, am I going to outlive my kids? I've already outlived my family. So no, he doesn't. Thank you so much. All right, we are enjoying the story. Thank you. You're welcome. That's cold to have all that ice. And I kept thinking, and it's one of those things you just, when you first meet, well, we weren't first met. We weren't technically, I guess, together at that point. And it's not like you can say, darling, about that ice, it's on that wall. So, he lives there. He should know better. He should know better. You were in love, or so you said. Remember that? What's that from? What? Where is that from? He should know better. I was in that musical. Tell me. Does anybody know? I'll sing it again. He should know better. He was in love, or so he said. He should know better. I'm very careful because, you get, I had a love, and it's all that I have, right or wrong, and he loves me too. Remember this? I love him. We're one. There's nothing to be done. Not a thing I can do but love me forever. That's West Side Story. West Side Story. Here we go. Let me back up here. I saw a couple of things. Where is the place? He lives near the Carpathian, the gate of the Carpathian Arc. I'm just going to say that, and that's as far as I'm going to go. Definitely in that area. He does have a view. When I first heard him, I first heard him, and then it got to the point where I said, you know, I really would like to see you. And he said, all right. And at that point, he didn't call me Valiana. He said, okay, all right, let's do that. Is tomorrow night okay? And I'm thinking, oh, heck. What did I do? We're going to go on a FaceTime. What? Hair? Hello? So I just sat in my bedroom like I usually do, and the cats were all over, right? And there he was. It turned on, and there's this flaming red hair. And I was like, and you could tell this was not a set. And he would get up and stoke the fire a little bit, and we would talk, and we were both kind of looking at each other, you know, because he saw me in my pictures and on live streams. He would come in and watch live streams, but he never said anything. So we were both really looking at each other. And then it just kind of like, oh, okay, that's what you look like. And then finally it just got to the point and I said, forgive me. Who are you? Who are you? And then he just started to say. And then I said, oh my goodness, you are not a vampire. And he said, no, Valiana, I am not. I just didn't know how to tell you. Well, at least I'm so glad you did. At least I'm so glad you did. All right. This is a good question. Does Lord Greggor know if Saint Germain was really an immortal or just a legend? I'm going to add to that. He says that he was an immortal. But when I worked for Psychic Friends Network, back in the day, I was living in Virginia, and no cell phones, nothing like that. And I was alone in this big house in the Hamptons, working on the psychic line, taking calls overnight because you know what? The bars close and they all call the psychic lines. So I was on, hello, Psychic Friends Network. This is Zelda. May I help you? And he's got this, I could not tell the accent. It's kind of like Gregor in a way, but it wasn't. It was, he said, I called to tell you that I've seen you and I've heard you. And then I said, well, what would you like to talk about? Because sometimes people just call because they either need to talk to just somebody. They don't need a prediction. They don't, they just want to call and talk. Truth. He starts talking to me about his life in Europe. Then he says he ends up in New Orleans. And then he says he knows one of my ancestors that wore blue. And I'm thinking, who is this guy? And it kind of scared me because remember, we didn't have internet back then. And it's not like I could just hang up and troll on down at 3 a.m. in the morning down to the local Hampton, Virginia library. They didn't have much anyway. So I called the best source that I could, which was my grandmother. I waited until 5 because my grandmother was always an early riser. And she's like, what's going on? I said, you will not believe this. And told her everything. And she said, I'm going to tell you, nobody knows those stories but our family. So is this a family joke? I said, I don't think so. So I called I called customer service and basically said, look, that call that came in, can you tell me where it originated from? And I hung on the line. I hung and I hung. And I thought, what the heck? Did they forget me? And I almost was going to call back. I'll call back, hang up and call back. So she gets on the phone and she said, Zelda, we have a record of that call, but it says unknown origin. I'm like, and back then I was a little bit more spry with my vocabulary. And I said, so this guy could erupt from the gates of Hades, which I didn't say that. And who is he? We don't know. I said, well, if he calls back, watch again. Well, he did call back. But another one, so flippin' interesting. What? Right? It's just like, what? Give me a second. So I basically said, I have no idea. What the heck? So I'll just tell you the story right now. You're here, you may as well hear it. For those of you who haven't. So it was, I believe that was in September. And I was alone for Halloween. And of course, I was always busy. I was seriously always busy. Everybody always complained. And I'm just going to tell you what. Before I came to True Oracle, I was on Psychic Source, and there was somebody else's name was Zelda on there, and they wouldn't let me have my name. And I said, They said, well, we can call you Kelly. Well, why would, okay. So I tried, I was there a week. Just didn't work. So I left them, and then Psychic Stars reach out to me. This was about, 6 years ago, 5 years, 6, 7 years ago. And they saw me on Twitter, X, the Twix, because I think I said hello or happy birthday or something to Dionne Warwick. And this young lady who saw me on there said, oh my God, you're Zelda. We've got to have you. And I went to work for them. And do you know, I was so busy that all the other psychics on that line, which were not psychics, by the way, but anyway, all the other psychics that were on that line were so torched and was complaining because they weren't getting the calls. Well, hello. What does that mean? You don't get rid of the one that people want to talk. You step up your own game so people want to talk to you. And you don't tell them stories, and you don't tell them things that you think they want to hear. You tell them the truth, or else you just buzz. Then this young lady from True Oracle reached out. So anyway, that was kind of it. So my grandmother told me, she said, if he calls back, you call me right away. Okay. So I lived in this historic house in Hampton, Virginia, near Fort Monroe. It was the great granddaughter of President Tyler, either Tyler or Monroe. I can't remember now. And it was divine. And her husband had built it for them. He passed away in the house. And when I bought it from her back in the 1980s, see, I told you I was about 100 years old. Back in the 1980s, she was in her 90s then, and said, oh my goodness, my home, but I want to sell it to somebody that's going to love it. Well, I did. So that was the house that I was calling from. And believe me, that old house, because I'm one that will haunt my own house. I keep, when at night, I would just keep it dark. Why not? And I would walk around with the phone. Well, it got to be Halloween. Halloween was a wonderful time for me because, I was always busy and my family loved it. And so I get this call from him again. And I said, okay, what's the deal? And he said, well, I thought we would talk a little bit more, blah, blah, blah. And he said, well, you never know. Maybe I'll see you soon. And and he goes, hello. And I said, oh, yeah, sure. That scared me. I kind of got over it in another couple of days. I told my grandmother, and she said, oh, you just better be careful. Lock your doors. Now, my mother lived in Tennessee, and I was living in Virginia. It came to be Halloween night, a little on the creepy side, I turned off my porch light because there weren't really any kids in the area and I wasn't giving out any candy or anything. So, I was signed in. And so anyway, all of a sudden, the power goes out. And it was not storming, it wasn't anything. The power goes out on our whole street. And you hear the dogs, right? That's actually sounded pretty good. But you could hear the dogs. Wait, do I have one here? Let me see what doggy I have. Hold on, here comes a sound. Isn't that marvelous? So the dogs started really going crazy, and I'm looking outside thinking, what the heck is going on? I don't see anything. And the neighbors didn't have electric or anything either. And you could see in neighbors' homes that the candles were coming out. You could see the inside. So I didn't really know what to do. I was kind of scared. So I made sure that the doors were locked, and I sat in the corner of my living room. I just sat there. And pretty soon we heard the dogs again. And then the lights came back on. I didn't think a thing about it. The next day was payday for Psychic Friends Network. Always got a check. Didn't have Venmo, didn't have any of that stuff. You had to get the check. So I would wait for my check. And at that point, my darlings, listen, I was making pretty good money on the Psychic Friends Network. So I went to, I called my grandmother again, because they're checking on me. And I said, I don't know, Grandma, I don't know what's going on. So pretty soon I see the mailman walk up on the porch because we had a mailbox that was right beside on the left-hand side of the door. So I watched him and tried to nonchalantly oh, that's right, the mail is here, as if I wasn't counting on it coming at all. And I open the door and he goes, hey, I got something for you. He has, does this with the envelope because he knew by this time. And I said, yeah, whatever. He turns around and he said, he almost stepped on this. Something was on there. And he said, oh, some kid must have left this here. And he kind of kicked it. He said, don't step on it. I said, oh, it's okay. Don't worry about it. I looked down on the porch and there were these wax vampire teeth. You know how you get at Halloween, you walk around with the big red lips and you got two vampire things. And now listen, at that time, nobody knew. My other than my immediate family knew where I was. No, nobody knew anything. Didn't want to really. But anyway, I looked at I picked up these teeth and I thought, who, you know, I gotta dump these. And I looked at them and somebody had scratched the name Jack in the vampire teeth. Now, when this saint, he didn't call himself Jacques, he called himself Jack. I'm telling you what, fear raced inside of me. I dropped those teeth. I went inside. I called my grandma, and she's like, "Oh my God, you got to pack up some things." I said, "I got my dog Skippy. I got my cat. Bring them, bring them." Okay, fine. And she gets my mom on the phone, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, you got to come." And I said, "Listen, let's hang up because the longer I'm here talking, the longer it's going to take me to get there." Friends, I was throwing it in high gear, packing. And at that time, I had a Volvo, I don't even know, 360 or something like, I can't remember. And I was running out to that. I took Skippy and took the cat out, put them in the car, ran back in, and got all my things together, made sure that I had dog food, made sure. I mean, I was like a blur. I came down off that porch, and it was a nice, really nice wooden porch that had the steps that went down into the front yard. You all would, I can laugh now, but my darlings, I came off those steps and I fell flat. I mean, I projectiled I was running so hard and it hurt me so bad. And my dog and cat are looking at me like, what? What did you just do? What? And I could not believe that. That scared me so, because I didn't know. See, so I literally just put it all together, locked the house, made sure the door, made sure I had everything, made sure I had my little check. I zoomed in reverse out of that driveway, skippity doo down to the bank I went, cashed my check, and on the way to the great volunteer state of Tennessee. I made it there in record time because the speed limit, I think at that time, going through where I needed to go through to get to Tennessee was like 60 mile an hour. And they had just raised it everywhere else to 70 mile. And boy, the stadies were out nailing people. And I thought, dear God, how do I calculate this in my brain? 10 mile an hour less, it's going to take me 2 hours longer to get there. My brain is trying to go crazy. Finally, I make it to Tennessee, make it to my mom and my grandmother. Grandma went over to my mom's house. They were waiting there, and I pulled up and they come running out. They grabbed me. We're so glad that you're, whatever. I never could figure that out. We never could. That's my Jacques Saint Germain. He called himself Jacques Saint James. And guess what? About 2020, I got a call on the psychic line that I was working on from him again. And the moment that I heard his voice, I was like, he told me who was going to win the presidency. He told me about different things. I'm not going to say it here because we're not going to get political. But he told me a lot of stuff. And I said, listen, that was about 40 years seriously, 40 years ago. It could have been 140 years. I would have never forgot it. And seriously, 40 years ago, and he calls me, says the same. So I did ask Lord Greggor when I first met him. I told him this story. And of course, I had to be just as colorful in telling a story to him as I am to you. And of course, he's sitting there. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I didn't know if he was going to laugh or cry or what. No, not cry, but I didn't know if he was going to laugh or what the heck. But he didn't say that he thought that that was. But he did say that he felt that there was a very good chance that it was him. And it was because he said that he knew my ancestor, the one that wore a blue dress. And when we talked to my grandmother, she told how. And then that started coming into me digging deeper for the ancestors and how I found out my ancestor, Countess Ottilie von Gorlitz. I think she's in Wikipedia. And seriously, so there you go. Allison, I just really started telling that one story. But yeah, there we go. My tree libello. My tree libello. That's so pretty. Let me see if I can say this without messing it up. My tree libello. My tree libello. That's so pretty. And I'm sorry if I'm butchering it, but that's just beautiful. Yeah. So, yeah. So there we are. Yes, you finally made the live. Welcome. Hi. Hi, Trisha. Welcome. And do me a favor to each and every one of you. If you haven't liked already, please do us a favor. Okay. I got to figure out something for this channel because it's not about DNA. What can we say on this channel? What can we say? I'll figure that out. But please click the like button, and I would love it if you subscribed because you just don't want to miss anything. You think I'm a storyteller. Now, some of these things you're going to hear in his voice, and that's fine. Cynthia, that's an excellent question, my darling. Just wondering, does Lord Greggor ever get sick, colds, flu, etc.? I've never seen him. Seldom ever does he. Seldom. So, my darlings, we've been on here 2 hours, and I thought, oh, I'm going to be on here 30 minutes. You know, I don't want you to miss because tomorrow night on my channel, not here, not at Vale Keep, but on my channel, I'm going to be remote viewing Nancy Guthrie's home without people there, hopefully. If there's energy that wants to walk in, I can't control it. Now, I'm going to be a guest on JFK's channel, and I'm going to be remotely viewing a crime scene on that particular channel as well. And that's going to be a little intense. I've seen that crime scene. Oh, that's bad. I'll let you know when that's going to happen. So from now on, mark on your calendar Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. I do take Sunday off because I do need a day. And that's the day where I sit here and say, okay, this is what I need to do, this and this and this and this for this coming week. And that's all I do. Thursday night, we are now into the second season of Help, I'm Haunted. Friday night, be here, aloha, to Vale Keep it. If I'm not live here, there will be a video that will be continuing telling these awesome, epic stories of Lord Greggor. Then Saturday, it's Seeing Crime with True Oracle and myself. And don't forget, all of these channels that we love are in the description if you want to go through and you want to be clicking on, see, because you're going to see us. You're just going to see us. Because you know what? We're going to lean in. Somebody asked me the other day, don't you think you're a little old for these stories? Don't you think? I mean, how old do you think I am? Maybe in another 100 years. Not now. I'm just getting started. I'm just getting wound up. So we've got a lot to share and a lot to tell. And thank you, Robert. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you very much. Thank you, Robert. Bless you, my darling. Thank you. Love that you're here, and I appreciate it so much. Yeah, it's been 2 hours already. We just got started. So we're going to plan a lot for this channel. And I can't wait to bring, we are so happy. And listen, he is so happy. He just never thought. Because when I first asked him, would you be willing to help me do this? Would you be willing to do this? He's like, yes, Valion. I don't really think he understood what he was getting into. The poor guy. But that's okay. I know my boundaries and he knows his. So it's a respect thing. But listen, who doesn't want to hear a good story? And he's got them. So anyway, who wants to see the premiere of the movie again? Who wants to see this premiere again? Put a 1 in the chat if you want to see the before we go. Please. I started the wrong one. Please do me a favor if you want to hear, if you want to put a 1 in the chat, if you want to see these things all over again. There you go. I'm 72, no threat to anybody, but I have a crush on both. Oh, bless you. That's so sweet. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I love it. Okay, so the ones have it. The ones have it. Okay, here we go. Get ready. We're going to see the premiere trailer first. It's not even a minute. Don't blink, but turn up your sound a little bit because you might hear somebody whispering in the end. Get ready, my darlings. Here we go. Let me see. I don't know why StreamYard does something weird. There we go. We can do that here now. Let me get her started. I'm going to make it bigger for you too. Maybe. There we are. Okay, my darlings, get ready. Here we go. There we go. Thank you so much. Let me put me back on the stage. Wait, hello, where am I? There, hello. I just thought I'd pop in. Now, would you like to see the little, you're welcome. Would you like to see the MTV music video of, no, it's not that. It's the epic themes. These are the themes of Vale Keep, and these are some of the themes that we are going to be using in the series as we go along. So I'm going to play just a little bit of that for you. I'm going to play the end so that way you can kind of sort of see them a little bit. But feel free to play that as long as you want to. I have people looping it. I just got a text that said somebody is looping it because it is great. And listen, who just wouldn't want to listen to epic cinematic music? I know you guys do, and I do too. All right, here we are. Let me get this. Let me share this screens. Let me share the screens once more. I'm going to fix this I'm going to just play the end here toward you, and then you can go in and you all can. Wait, where is this? You can go in and maybe play it a little bit more. Here we are. There we go, my darling. Yes, he is handsome. When I heard this music and he laughs he kind of, snickers because I'm like, oh my heck, I can just picture you on Vispara, riding through the Carpathians and like, hello, did you see the mountains in the background? Those are the Carpathian mountains. You don't ride a horse in there, but you know me. But I'm like, oh, I could just see you, my darling, racing through, hello. And you know what he does? Valiana. So he just tries to figure me out. Yes, he's very handsome. Thank you. He is very handsome. And if here's the thing. You all know what I make my own images for thumbnails, and you all know all that, right? Well, sometimes it looks like me and sometimes it doesn't. I'm my own worst critic. But many times it does. And that's how it works out for him. And it's called consistent character. And yes, he is. So I will get better. I promise you. I will get better. And the stories are going to get fantastic. And if you could please do us a favor, like, subscribe so you don't miss anything. Check out those channels that are in the description. Check out all of those wonderful things that we're offering you for now. We're just going to keep you busy. We're going to keep you busy. Why do you need to go on Netflix, right? Hello. Well, with this one, this is going to be epic. And I want to thank you for the opportunity to bring this to you. We are thrilled. I am thrilled to bring this to you. And I just got to say, we couldn't do it without you. I wouldn't want to do it without you. So there you go, my darlings. I think you're all going to like that 28 minutes of epic, and you can just put in your mind's eye of battle scenes coming through the Carpathian Arc and seeing the sunrise, looking at Vale Keep, thinking of the future. He told me when he was in that field that he heard someone whisper to him, Valeborn. That's why the whisper. I did the whisper. I did that. That's me. That's why I did the whisper. The whisper. That's why I did the whisper at the end. Because I want it to be as authentic for you as I possibly can. And he said that's what woke him up. If he wouldn't have it would have been over for him. If he wasn't able to wake up at that point, it would have been over. And there's sweet Vespera and Lunar in the background. They're part of the family. We're going to keep them there. So my darlings, thank you so much for being here. Your generosity. Please do us a favor, like and subscribe if you haven't already. And I just love this. Let me see. I've got a little something here I want to show you. Okay, before we go out, something more. Hello. And let me catch it though before it starts. Nope. Okay. So my darlings, thanks again for being here. You guys are just so awesome. I want to thank my lovely Captain Jerry for being here and helping me mod. Thanks to each and every one of you for allowing me to come into your home, into your castle. And let's figure out, because I'm going to make some emojis, I think, but I can't do that until we have memberships, and I will announce that. And my darlings, this is going to be epic. We're in this together. So from our castle to you, we wish that you will have a beautiful evening and a great weekend. And I will see you very soon. Bye for now.